and welcome here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We appreciate you being here every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, and we are here inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. Great Lakes Honda City coming to you on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. You can get to Great Lakes Honda City very easily from all different nooks and crannies of Syracuse, East Syracuse, Liverpool, the highway, the thruway, Onondaga Lake Parkway. So we look forward to seeing you over there Monday through Saturday for sales and service. And of course, you can get a little sneak peek of their new and used inventory by going to GreatLakesHondaCity.com. So make sure that you do that today. Let them know that DT sent you. Inside of this Great Lakes Honda City Studios, today's broadcast, which comes to you up and down the East Coast, the Midwest, the West Coast, and all around the globe. You will find us on Facebook and YouTube.com, both /WakeUpCallDT. And of course, you will find all of our shows, over 1,800 episodes dating back over a decade, by going to wakeupcalldt.podbean.com. And as I was in Italy just a little bit ago, got home on May 4th. We technically got home the morning of May 5th. So we know that we broadcast over in Italy 3 to 5 p.m. because they are 6 hours ahead of us. So we are there in the midday, 3 to 5 p.m. in Italy. So for those of you out there, thanks so much for tuning in. And of course, everyone all around the globe. And shout out to Sweden, who had the most downloads of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora in our recent history that I checked here. So whatever we're doing, Sweden, I'm happy that we're doing it. Thanks for the support, and thank you for the love as always. So with that being said, on today's show, Murph is joining me as always on a Murph Monday, and we are going to talk about a bunch of Major League Baseball topics as well as NFL topics, and that will lead us into sports cards and our thoughts on the sports card world. What is going on with sports cards as far as who should we buy into with the NFL season approaching? Who are those guys that we should go and spend some money on and look to flip? And who are the ones that we should leave alone? So Murph and I will be talking about that. And that's proudly presented by GG Cards and Breaks. All of our sports card conversations proudly presented by our sports card shop of choice in Syracuse, 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York, GG Cards and Breaks. And please go there to the store this Thursday, as they'll be staying open later for trade night, and trade night is going to be 6:30 to 9:30 p.m. and we'll be there with you on site, on location at GG Cards and Breaks for trade night. So looking forward to that this Thursday, May 15th, from 6:30 to 9:30 at GG Cards and Breaks on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York. So picture in picture with me here this morning is Murphalation for the nation. And before we get started with anything, I do want to let you all know something very important from my heart to yours, and I'm sure from Murph's heart to yours as well, as he has a great mom, and I got a great mom too. We are here this morning to once again remind people that every day is Mother's Day. Every single day is Mom's Day and Dad's Day and Grandparents' Day. So I would like to honor the moms, the grandmoms, as well as those mothers that have stepped in to be moms, and to the ones we call our other mom. So a happy Mother's Day to each and every single one of you wonderful women who have taken the time to raise us, to be there for us, sometimes give tough love to us, to wipe our tears away, to help us laugh, and to remind us that God always has our back. To every mom out there on this planet and every mom to be, God bless you. And everyone in heaven, God bless you too. Happy Mother's Day. Murph, any thoughts?
Yeah, I wish I would have been able to do a little more with my mom for Mother's Day, but being that I messed up my back pretty good on Thursday at work, I haven't really been able to go out or do very much. So thankfully, I had already got her gift before I got hurt. So this is the first Mother's Day in a long time that I didn't have flowers and a card for her. But she understood that. she didn't hold it against me. And I think the fact that I got her tickets to go see Pat Benatar, who is one of the artists that she never got to see in her heyday, and she's gonna finally go see her. I think that made up for it.
Yeah, well, happy Mother's Day to your mom, to my other mom, MT, and of course to my grandmas up in heaven, G Mama and Gammy, and to all of the moms that are out there watching and listening, and the ones that have obviously had a positive effect on your life, Murph. We wish a very happy Mother's Day to all of our great, great maternal figures that have found a way to lead us and guide us and help us to become the best versions of ourselves. So, happy Mom's Day to all of our moms out there. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, Murph and I got a lot to jump into today. A lot of different topics. We're going to start in Major League Baseball.
Can I actually just pop in and say something real quick? Because I don't know. I don't think you would have been on the air at the time on Friday, so you wouldn't have had a chance to talk about it yet. How about the fact that we have got an American Pope?
Yeah. Yeah.
How about that? Who not only is a Chicago White Sox fan, they did some deep digging in the archives. I think it was the top of the ninth inning in Game 5 of the 2005 World Series.
Yeah.
Joe Buck's talking about, whatever he's talking about with the White Sox in the Astros game. And they changed to a camera angle, and who is it? It's the Pope!
Yeah. Pope Leo.
If you have not seen that, it's great. It is. I never thought I would live to see a Pope from the United States.
Yeah.
And it's pretty darn incredible. So I'm thrilled. I think I don't know how he's going to be in comparison to Pope Francis, because every Pope, they kind of want to be their own person and maybe continue the work and everything. But I just wanted to pop that in because I don't think you'd had a chance to talk about it on air yet. But that it was pretty cool when I saw that. Oh no, wait, it was Thursday. How could I forget? It was Thursday, the day I screwed up my back.
Yeah, so I actually did name Pope Leo the 14th my top dog of the week. And
oh yeah, absolutely.
And yeah, I mean, I remember sitting there with my dad, or I was on the phone with my dad, and I was like, "Dad, I think they said America." And he's like, "No." And I said, "Yeah, Dad, I think they said Chicago." And he's like, "I didn't hear that." And I'm like, "No, Dad, I'm pretty confident." And when I was on the phone with him, I said, "They never said we would have an American Pope." I
always thought it would have been Cardinal Dolan
if
we were going to have an American Pope.
The crazy thing, though, is like there was just that, there's never going to be an American Pope. They're never going to have a Pope from the United States of America. It's never going to happen. And so to see it and hear Chicago, Illinois, that was incredible. And to have him speak only in Italian and, speak Italian and speak Spanish. So to be someone who was born in America with Italian and Spanish roots.
I think 5 languages.
Yeah, he speaks a bunch of. I think he speaks Portuguese too.
I think English, Italian, Spanish, Portuguese, and I thought I heard French.
But
that's it. That's a weird one.
But for him to speak Italian and Spanish in his opening address and be an American, I put that out there. I was like, that's my roots. My roots are in Italy and Spain, and I'm American. So to have a Pope hit all 3 of those points and that be a part of the opening address is really cool for me personally. And we prayed for Pope Leo the 14th here on Wake Up Call. We'll continue to pray for Pope Leo for his guidance from God and his guarding from God, and that he will bring us closer to heaven and not farther away, and that he will guide the church to be independent of politics and of all of the secular things that happen on this earth, and just be a kind, compassionate, open, welcoming leader without prejudice to all of God's children. So we always pray that for Pope Leo the 14th and more, in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Show you that love, Pope Leo. But yeah, I mean, that was It was exciting. I never thought I would see it in my life, let alone at 39, that a pope would be from America. But when they said it, I was just my dad. My dad literally, he was like, "Nah, there's no way." So it's really cool to
I didn't
experience
believe
this.
it at first.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? I was doing a fitting at where was I? I think Doylestown. Yeah, Doylestown. I should remember this because literally after that fitting day is when my back locked up to the point where I couldn't drive home, mind you. My mom had to come get me and with my neighbor to drive my truck home.
Yeah.
But and then we had to go to the hospital because it was that bad. But anyway, I'm doing the fitting. I right before he came up, I saw that I got the notification that there was white smoke. So I put on, you know, not loud or anything. I just put it on my phone in front. I happened to be chatting with the guy I was fitting, and I um, mentioned it to him. I'm like, hey, I apologize. Like they just, announced that there was white smoke. So they're gonna announce the Pope soon. He's like, like when they do, like call me over. I'll watch it with you.
Yeah.
So they do, and they call him over, and I call him over, and they announce it, and and both of us are like, holy crap, he's from Chicago.
Yeah.
He's an American.
Yeah.
It's like the reaction that you got from people all over the U.S., especially in Chicago. Like there was people from schools in Chicago, Catholic schools in Chicago, and all across the country that were just proud that the Pope is one of them. Is one of them from the suburbs of Chicago on the south side, and I thought it was kind of funny that the Chicago Cubs tried to claim Pope Leo right after he was announced, and then it came out from his brothers that he was a White Sox fan.
Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, everybody in
That was
Chicago,
hysterical.
everyone is going to be going out there, right? The Bulls.
Oh yeah.
And everyone's going to try and find a way. And by the way, Loyola of Chicago, remember, Sister Jean,
Is she still around?
that's her team. So I think she had her 105th birthday. Hold on.
Oh my God.
Hold on.
That's amazing.
Sister Jean, yeah, Sister Jean is 105 right now.
Wow.
Yeah. 105 years old, Miss Sister Jean, doing her thing. She's amazing. She's genuinely one of the greatest people that we've ever seen come through the sports world. And August 21st, 2024, she celebrated her 105th birthday. So, yeah, so
That's
remember,
incredible.
Sister Jean is connected to Chicago too. So if Sister Jean has any connection to Pope Leo, then Pope Leo is going to be awesome. If Sister Jean touched his shoulder, I think he'll be okay.
I think so too.
Speaking of baseball, though, with the Cubs and the White Sox, we're going to jump into some baseball thoughts here. And first thing that I wanted to get into here is that the Jung family, we've had an interesting thing happen here, and we're going to let everybody know here. Josh delivered a special Mother's Day gift to his mother, Mary. Texas Rangers third baseman had a 2-out, 2-run homer in the fifth inning of his team's 6-1 win at Detroit on Sunday. His brother Jace was in the Tigers lineup at the same position. Before the game, Mary delivered the game ball to the mound, and her sons joined her on the field. Mary said in an interview, quote, "My heart is just exploding. I mean, I couldn't ask for a better Mother's Day gift. We're all in the same place to begin with. But then to watch them live their dream, do what they love to do, I couldn't be more proud." End quote. So watching your sons play in a game against each other on Mother's Day, throw out the first pitch, and all be there is pretty incredible. So for Jace and Josh and Mary, they had a very special Mother's Day in this game. And Josh said it was pretty cool. It was a pretty cool feat, pretty rare. End quote. Taking a look at this, according to the Elias Sports Bureau, it was the first home run by a player facing his brother's team on Mother's Day. This is such a weird stat. First time that we have seen a home run by a player facing their brother's team on Mother's Day since it first became a national holiday in 1914. So that's the last time we know of it of it coming through because Mother's Day became a national holiday. So it's first became a national. So it's the first time that we've seen a brother hit a home run facing his brother's team on Mother's Day since Mother's Day became a national holiday in 1914, which means that that is what 111 years that
Yep.
we've waited for this to happen. So the parents, Mary and Jeff, were in attendance throughout the 3-game series. The brothers also started on Saturday when Texas won 10-3. And we got a message here from Josh said, quote, to everybody involved, parents, my brother and I, his girlfriend, all encompassing. I think everyone had a great time, a great moment. Anytime we all get to be in the same city, which is kind of rare now, it's special to be able to play against each other. I know my parents are super proud. All the emotions come out because of all the sacrifices they've made for us. There's no way to say thank you, but hopefully they were super proud watching us both going out there and playing the same position for these last 2 days, end quote. The Jung brothers gave their parents jerseys prior to the game, half with Texas blue, the other side with Detroit white. Their
That's
mom had
cool.
already purchased a similar jersey, which moms do. The Boeheim mother did that when
Donna Kelsey.
she had one son at Cornell and one at Syracuse. Would you say?
Donna Kelsey too.
Yeah. So yes, Donna
Did
Kelsey too
you
for
did you
Travis or
see
Jason.
also that they since they both play third base, I don't remember which day it was, but they started a tic-tac-toe game at third base.
Oh no, I didn't see
Yeah.
that.
I saw that on TikTok I think yesterday, and I'm looking at it and I'm just cracking up laughing 'cause every once in a while you'll see pitchers do it. Like if two starting pitchers are good friends with each other, they'll maybe one of them behind the mound will start a tic tac toe game or something like that, and then they'll play as the game goes on, and it's actually kind of cool. But it's a special bond that those two brothers have, and obviously Josh being the older and Jace being the younger one. I mean, Josh Young's kind of been in there, like he was rookie of the year front runner before I think he broke his wrist his rookie year, and then he didn't get to play as much, and he was red hot
Yeah.
to start that rookie year. Um, but Jace was a high draft pick as well. I mean, they were both pretty high draft picks, and the fact that they're both there, they're both helping their teams win. It's pretty cool, and for them being able to spend Mother's Day with their mom in the same ballpark had to be a pretty cool feeling.
Yeah. So for Josh Young as well as Jace Young and Mary and Jeff and everybody involved. Pretty cool moment here for the family to be able to experience this. And like I said, the first recorded home run of a brother against a brother's team on Mother's Day since Mother's Day became a national holiday in 1914. So for all intents and purposes, the first home run brother to brother on Mother's Day ever in Major League Baseball history in 111 years for Jace. For
I don't even think we would know about it if it happened
yeah,
pre
that's
1914.
true. So for Jace and for
I mean, we're talking before Babe Ruth was even in the league yet.
yeah,
I'm
so
sorry, no, that was his rookie year.
yeah, so for Jace and for Josh and for Mary and Jeff and everybody, happy Mother's Day, and shout out to the split jersey. If I ever had the opportunity to have multiple children and they decided to chase a sport and one went one and one went to another, I would happily half jersey it for
That's
sure.
what Dion's got to
So,
do for
yeah.
Shador and Shiloh, even though Shador's probably not going to be with the Browns for very long.
Yeah, so we shall see. That's an interesting story. We'll get to that in just a little bit. But to the Young family, congratulations and God bless to you all and happy history and being in the same place. I'm thankful that they got to do that with each other as well. Here's one that now going into the season, Papa Joe and I spoke about this. He had no thoughts that the Colorado Rockies were going to be good this year. They were awful last year. By the way, last Thursday, there was only one division in baseball of the 6 divisions that had 4 out of 5 teams with a winning record. That was the NL West. The only team that didn't, the Colorado Rockies, who at the time I believe were 6-23. Now, taking a look at the Rockies right now, they are the worst team in Major League Baseball. They are 30 of 30 teams, and they have fired their manager, Bud Black, on yesterday, on Mother's Day, one day after losing by 21 runs to the San Diego Padres in division at Coors Field. The Rockies are in a major league worst 7-33 start, even after defeating the Padres 9-3 on Sunday to salvage one game in the home series and snap an 8-game skid. So they are 7-33 this season. Third base coach Warren Schaefer will serve as interim manager for the rest of the year, and hitting coach Clint Hurdle will be the interim bench coach. The Rockies.
I'm surprised Clint Hurdle is not going to be the manager because he's got managerial experience. But yeah. Sorry to cut you off there.
No, you're good. Clint Hurdle is going to be the interim bench coach. The Rockies also fired bench coach Mike Redman, which is why that bench coach opening is available. And there will be a road trip tonight against the Texas Rangers. Ironically, we just mentioned them with the Young family, and they'll try to look to see what they could do. Even with Sunday's victory, Colorado has the worst 40-game start since the 1988 Baltimore Orioles, who went 6-34. Now, Rockies owner, chairman, and CEO Dick Monfort said this, quote, "Our play so far this season, especially coming off the last two seasons, has been unacceptable. Our fans deserve better, and we are capable of better. While we all share responsibility in how this season has played out, these changes are necessary. We will use the remainder of 2025 to improve where we can on the field and to evaluate all areas of our operations so we can properly turn the page into the next chapter of Rockies baseball," end quote. Now, Black was in his 9th year as Rockies manager, so important to know that he wasn't a newbie. This wasn't a guy that they were feeling out. He was there for almost a decade. He had a career record with Colorado of .544 and .690. He's the winningest manager in Rockies history. So I want you to just let that marinate for a second. Under Bud Black, they went 7-33 this year. His overall record in the time he's been with the Rockies, and this was his 9th season, so not a full 9 years, 8 and some change, 544 wins, 690 losses, gives him the best record for a manager in Rockies history, showing you that it's not just Bud that has been there when the Rockies have been bad. Now, general manager Bill Schmidt said, we, quote, "we have to get better and move forward. We owe it to our fans to play better baseball," end quote. And then on Saturday afternoon, Schmidt backed Black right before he got let go, said, "Buddy's doing a good job right now. They're showing up for work and playing with effort," end quote. Hours later, they were routed by the Padres. So Schmidt said he was attempting to get everything in place Sunday morning to make the move after the game, win or lose. Quote, I know it took a little air out of winning the game," end quote, he said. So that's where we're at right now, and they are unfortunately in arguably the absolute best division in baseball in the NL West, and the 7th manager in team history Black was. He found success initially. He led the Rockies back-to-back playoff appearances in 17 and 18. They haven't finished with a winning record since then, though, and are coming off 2 straight 100-loss seasons. Colorado has a .353 winning percentage since 2023. So that means 35% of the time they're winning their games. They have at least 100 losses in each of the last 2 seasons. And with a record of 7-33, they are heading toward 3 straight seasons, potentially, of 100 losses or more in 162 games. However, I want to throw it home again. Bud Black is the winningest manager in Rockies history with 544 wins and 690 losses. So obviously the problem ain't all Bud. But, Murph, as we get ready for spring here and flowers are budding, Bud has turned black and has been fired. What are your thoughts here? And when I say turn black, when you look at business, well, when businesses are in the black, it's usually good. But when you
he got a pink slip.
Right, he got a pink slip essentially. But when you turn that screen black, you shut it off, he's gone. So Bud, we're hoping, was going to start to sprout some flowers here. But nothing happened, and he has been let go. And now we are in a place where the Rockies are going to try to win, which is something they haven't done in a very long time. And again, they fired their winningest manager, which isn't saying much because his record was over 100 losses, or over 100 losses to the wins that he had, 544 to 690.
Oh yeah, and I don't think this is a condemnation of Bud Black. I think Bud Black's a good manager. I don't think it's all his fault. I think the Rockies organization has just done a terrible job of putting a good team on the field. Right? Like it's not the manager's fault that the team just has no talent. Right? Like they signed Chris Bryant in when they signed into that big contract, he's been terrible. That's not Bud Black's fault. They have had draft picks that have not done well. You know, Chase Dolander came up this year, one of their top draft picks from Tennessee to last year, and has not looked good. You know, they've had Brendan Rodgers hasn't exactly been good. Was a top 3 draft pick. Their biggest problem, I think, is more so the fact that the players that they're drafting, they're not developing well. So their draft and development has been horrendous in the last decade plus. Now, don't get me wrong. This is also a team that in its past has drafted and developed superstar players like Troy Tulowitzki, Matt Holliday, you know, many other guys that have come up and just been really, really good for them. Trying to find, here we are. That have just been really, really good for them. And just in recent years, they haven't been able to do much of anything. Now, don't get me wrong. There's been some positives so far this year. Hunter Goodman's been a good player. Michael Togley has been okay. Brenton Doyle's kind of emerged a little bit. But, like, Ezekiel Tovar has been one of their top prospects. He hasn't exactly been all that good. Hit 212 before he got hurt. Their pitching has been some of the worst in baseball. Kyle Freeland, their ace, has a 6.41 ERA. Antonio Senzatella has a 5.77 ERA. Herman Marquez has an 8.27 ERA. As I mentioned, Chase Dolander has a 7.71 ERA. Their best starting pitcher thus far has been Ryan Feltner with a 4.75 ERA. Now, granted, pitching in Colorado is not easy.
Right.
You're pitching at elevation. The ball flies there.
Right.
It's arguably the largest major league stadium, but the ball flies out of there easy because of the thin air. So they've never been able to secure good pitching, but that is also where pitchers go to die. Chase Dolander was, I think, the second best pitcher in that draft. And where is it? Come on. I want to find. Never mind. I believe he was the second best pitcher in that draft, and he goes to the Rockies. Any dynasty player that sees that is like, oh no, like he's going to the Rockies.
Well, I mean,
the problem is, you know, they got to draft the guys and develop them to be able to pitch out there. Nobody's going to willingly sign there. They're just not. I mean, unless they love Denver and their family loves Denver. Like, I mean, they've had Kyle Freeland, but they pitch horrendous out there. I'd be interested to see what the Mets can do with one of those guys. Literally, statistically, the worst pitcher in all of baseball last year, and he's won 6 consecutive starts and has like a 2.50 ERA.
Yeah, well, I mean,
kind of ridiculous. The Rockies need to invest in something like that.
Well, and the thing, you know, you think about it too, competitive advantage. Everybody talks about the air's thinner in Colorado. It's just different. You don't want to go play there. So if you are playing there, you have to find a way to have a competitive advantage because you're the ones that are playing in it all the time. You're practicing in it all the time. It's kind of like when you play a Northeast team in football, and almost all of them have outdoor stadiums. You don't schedule Florida State in September. You schedule Florida State in the end of November, around Thanksgiving, so that they have to play you in 12 degrees in the snow in Boston College. So Colorado having an advantage, you would think that they would know how to utilize this advantage, but they have not, and they've been really bad, and they're making the Athletics look good. But speaking of pitching, the Yankees already are without, at least for a year, hopefully not longer. They're already without their ace, Garrett Cole. Well, they're also without Marcus Stroman, another pitcher on the team. He had a setback to return from a left knee injury that sidelined him for the past month. Now, he has started 3 games this season. He has a record of 0-1. He was a Yankee last year, 30 games. He started 29. He went 10-9 last season. Before that, he was a Cub for 2 years. He was a Met for a couple years, and then obviously the 2020 year he did not compete. And then he was a Blue Jay to start his career from 2014 to 2019. So looking at Marcus Stroman right now, manager Aaron Boone said yesterday that Stroman still has quote unquote discomfort in his knee after throwing a live batting practice in Tampa, Florida on Friday, and he's going to be reevaluated before the team figures out what he's going to do next. Now, Boone said, quote, he's gotten a lot of treatments on it and stuff. It just can't kind of get over that final hump. I couldn't get over that sentence right there. So it just can't kind of get over that final hump to really allow him to get to that next level on the mound. We'll try and continue to get our arms around it and try and make sure we get that out of there, end quote. Nothing about that quote means anything to me, Aaron Boone. You're going to try and get your arms around his left knee? I mean, I don't understand that, but Stroman has not pitched since allowing 5 runs in 2/3 of an inning against the San Francisco Giants on April 11th. So it was a month yesterday. And he was placed on the 15-day injured list the next day with what Boone hoped at the time would be a short-term absence. But now there is no timetable for the right-hander's return. And taking a look at this, he was 0-1, like I said, with an 11.57 ERA in 3 starts. Now, Boone went on to say, quote, certainly that last start, I think he just couldn't really step on that front side like he needed to. I talk about how these guys are like race cars, and one little thing off, and it can affect just that last level of command or that last level of extra stuff that you need. So we'll continue to try to get him where we need to, end quote. I would compare it to the one loose screw on the bobsled in the Jamaican bobsled in Cool Runnings, where they were about to make history, and then that screw let loose, which let loose of one of the skates, which ultimately turned into a crash. Now, Stroman is 34 years old. He's in that second season, like I said, of a 2-year contract that guarantees him $37 million with the Yankees. His deal includes a $16 million conditional player option for 2026 that could be exercised if he pitches in at least 140 innings this year. Now, last season, like I said, he was 10-9. He had a 4.31 ERA in 30 games when he threw 154 and 2/3 innings, his most since 2021 when he was a Met. Now, he struggled in the second half and did not pitch in the postseason when the Yankees made their first World Series appearance. So, even though he was out there, he wasn't out there for the Yankees last year. So, as much as you need everybody you can have without your ace Garrett Cole, Stroman was not a guy that they leaned on last year when it all came down to the most important moments in the World Series. Murph, your thoughts? The Yankees are without Cole. They're now without Stroman. And we are sitting in a place where we beg the question, did the Yankees overpay $37 million for Marcus Stroman?
Of course they overpaid. Marcus Stroman, first of all, I have some strong opinions about Marcus Stroman, not baseball related, and actually they are kind of baseball related, but he is honestly a scumbag human being to start. He is an absolute scumbag. And if you've not seen his Twitter at any point, you know how people insist that, black people can't be racist? Well, he is extremely racist towards white people, for starters, which really pisses me off. So when I started seeing that crap from him in 2020 when the Mets still had him, I was like, yeah, get this guy off our team. He is a cancer. And he, nobody should want him. Like, he is not a good pitcher anymore. and he's a scumbag human being. Nevertheless, the Yankees have him and they paid for him. Good for the Yankees for paying all that money for Marcus Stroman. Because obviously, as you all know, I do not like the Yankees. But I think the Yankees are better off without him. I mean, the Yankees' rotation has looked fairly good. Carlos Rodon is coming off one of his best starts in his career as a Yankee. I believe either his last start or the start before. I mean, their rotation's been pretty good. I mean, Rodon's been pretty good. Max Fried's been exceptionally good. His ERA is 1.05
Yeah.
to start the year. Um, you know, their back end of the rotation hasn't been the greatest in the world, but they've been okay. Like Carlos Carrasco and Will Warren are eating innings. They're not great, but they're still giving the Yankees chances to win. I mean, Carlos Rodon striking out 11 batters per nine. Will Warren striking out over 10 batters per nine. So that's pretty darn good. I mean, the story with the Yankees, though, is the hitting. I mean, Aaron Judge might hit 400 this year. Nobody's done that since 1941 with Ted Williams, which in and of itself is impressive.
Yeah.
Giancarlo Stanton also might not have a job when he's healthy because Ben Rice has been outstanding in the DH spot for them. I mean, he's hitting 260. He's got 9 home runs, 20 RBI, on base at 368, which is impressive. Cody Bellinger has been just okay. Kind of starting to hit a little bit now. Josh Chisholm's hurt. Trent Grisham's kind of been figuring things out. He's getting more playing time. He's got 10 home runs, which is second on the team. You would not have expected that from Trent Grisham before the season started. But yeah, I mean, I don't think the Yankees are losing anything with Marcus Stroman being out. I think, like I said, he stinks. There's no reason for them to really want him back other than to get some value for the money they're paying him.
Yeah.
But if I'm the Yankees, I would just cut him and let somebody else deal with him. Like let him be somebody else's problem. Like even before the season, he was having a fit about how I'm a starting pitcher. I'm not going to pitch out of the bullpen, buddy. You're a terrible starting pitcher. You will pitch where they tell you to pitch, or you will not get paid. Which is also quite ironic with what's going on up in Boston with Rafi Devers, and they might be stuck with that contract for a long time. That was an 11-year deal that they signed with Devers up in Boston. But the Yankees are stuck with Stroman. I think they should get rid of Stroman. As I said, I think he's a cancer. He's a scumbag human being, and I think they're better off without him.
Well, you talk about scumbag stuff. We are going to discuss something that I'm very sad to bring up in the baseball world that is still occurring and should have never been occurring in the first place. By the way, folks, prejudice, sexism, or racism of any kind is not acceptable. That's no well, if it's this color to this color, or if it's this to this, or this religion to that religion, it's okay. There is nowhere in the world. Racism is racism, and I don't stand for any of it. Sexism is sexism,
Agreed.
and I don't stand for any of it. Prejudice is prejudice, and I don't stand for any of it. If you have hate in your heart, even but a drop, remember, if your heart is pure and you put 1 drop of hate in it, it's like putting a drop of dye in a glass of water. If you walk away and you come back, the water eventually all turns the color of that dye. You cannot have 1 drop of hate. Oh, I hate these people, but not these people. I just hate a little bit. Well, I just hate this race, but that's okay. No. It's not. Any type of hate is bad. It's wrong. It's not from God. And it's not the way to make this world better. So as we take a step aside today, let's remember that we were all made equal in the image and likeness of God. God did not say there was a hierarchy. God did not say that there was a favorite. God simply said, I am your Father. So, we'll take a step aside. We'll be back inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios right after this to talk about a very unfortunate thing that I don't want to talk about, but we have to.
Hi, This is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating at 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and always online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, order anywhere, anytime at maandpaspopcorn.com. Stop in to get a tin at Ma and Pa's on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York to get your half-price refills for the rest of your life. Come to Ma and Pa's for your holiday gift giving for family, friends, employees, and clients. And remember, for fundraising and events, to call 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily, and we bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicoli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicoli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there, and of course you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100, and also find them on myavicolis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to K9 Campground.
Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes. And a welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Great Lakes Honda City studios. Great Lakes Honda City is there for you on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday for sales and service. And, of course, you can get in touch with them by going to GreatLakesHondaCity.com and looking at their inventory of new and used vehicles. You got the Pilot, the Ridgeline, the Civic, the HRV, the Accord, and more, including my absolute favorite, my 2025 CRV. It is sleek. It is awesome. They changed the front of the car, and it is a beauty. So make sure you get over to Great Lakes Honda City and do it quick, because I went by there a few days ago, and a lot of their inventory has been leaving the lot. So make sure you get over there sooner the better at Great Lakes Honda City. Let them know that DT sent you their way. Murph and I are talking about a lot of different things here in the baseball world here in this edition of DT and Murphy on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Great Lakes Honda City studios. This is a very unfortunate conversation. It's something that has come up in sports before, and it has now reared its disgustingly ugly head again. I talked about the fact that hate of any kind is wrong. Well, that includes this. Astros Lance McCullers Jr. went through something that no one should have to go through in any walk of life, with anything going on. It doesn't matter about sports, literally any type of performance. Here we go. Houston Astros right-handed pitcher Lance McCullers Jr. said he and his family were the subjects of death threats made on social media after he allowed 7 runs as part of a 10-run first inning for the Cincinnati Reds on Saturday night, this past Saturday. A team spokesperson said the Astros notified the Houston Police Department and Major League Baseball security about the threats. McCullers said this, quote, "I understand people are very passionate and people love the Astros and love sports, but threatening to find my kids and murder them is a little bit tough to deal with. So just as a father, I think there have been many, many threats over the years aimed at me mostly. And I think actually 1 or 2 people from other issues around baseball actually had to go to jail for things like that. But I think bringing kids into the equation, threatening to find them, or next time they see us in public, they're going to stab my kids to death. Things like that, it's tough to hear as a dad," end quote. Now keep in mind, McCullers, this is early in the season that he's played. He's 0-1. He was making his second start ever since Game 3 of the 2022 World Series after battling a series of right arm issues. He was an all-star in 2018. He has spent all 8 of his big league seasons with the Astros. Now, manager Joe Espada had something to say post-game on Saturday. Quote, "There are people who are threatening his life and the life of his kids because of his performance. It is very unfortunate that we have to deal with this. After all he's done for this city, for his team, the fact that we have to talk about that in my office, I got kids too. And it really drives me nuts that we have to deal with this. Very sad, very, very sad. Listen, he hasn't pitched in 2.5 years. It's going to take a little bit of time to get him going. And that's fine, but this can't happen. I'm really upset that this can happen to athletes, end quote. Now, McCullers walked leadoff hitter and then hit McLean on the backside. And then Ellie De La Cruz smacked an opposite field 3-run homer to left to make it 3-0 in that game. He walked 2 more batters and yada, yada, yada. It doesn't matter. And why am I saying it doesn't matter? Because however you perform in your life, if you go out with a pure heart and good intentions, you have nothing to apologize for. Dave Chappelle is arguably the greatest comedian of all time to some people. He's been booed and people have asked for their money back. I think pretty much any comedian would tell you that at some point, no matter how big they got, they were booed. There are pitchers in baseball that I believe had won a World Series the year before and had death threats the following year. So it doesn't matter what your job is. It doesn't matter how famous you are. The reality of all is this. People are passionate, but that's separate from what we're talking about. When you say fans are passionate, yeah, fans are passionate. Fans don't make death threats. Fanatics, insane people, people that are not on medication that maybe should be, those are your people that are doing this stuff. This is not a normal human being. This is not a person who has found balance in their life. This is a person, and I'm not saying you're abnormal if you take medication for something. What I'm saying is a fan can be frustrated. A fan can say, dang it. A fan can cry. A fan can cheer. A fan can feel like they're a part of the team. A fanatic is a weirdo. A fanatic is somebody who hates their wife and takes it out on the Houston Astros pitcher. A fanatic is someone who can't stand their job, their choices, their place in life, so they take it out on the world. And I've talked about this many times on the show, the difference between fan and fanatic. A fan is going to love you even when they don't like you. A fanatic is going to put lipstick on in the basement of their parents' house and then circle your name in the same lipstick. That's a fanatic, okay? A strange human being. And there is no place in society for these weirdos to be running amok. I have been at games in the Dome, and I have heard fans in my city. Now, some of them are students, so maybe they're not from Syracuse. Some of them are from Syracuse. The things that I have heard come out of people's mouths in a public forum, I would have banned them from the Dome for life. At least a year. I would have taken a lot of these situations and done something about it. Now, a death threat. I'm talking about you're yelling and screaming and F-bombs and threats and just all that. We're talking about, yeah, you suck, da, 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 and the guy won't stop, and the guy won't stop, and the guy won't stop. And I'm a security guard, and I go, hey, listen, buddy. You're spitting all over people. You're spilling your beer everywhere. You haven't shut up. You've said the F-bomb 10 times. You say it one more time, I'm kicking your butt out of the stadium. That's a fanatic at the game with their moment. The moment that you go on social media or verbally in person or however, you make a death threat. If you have made a death threat, and many of you on social media, you don't have pictures, you don't have your name out there. Sometimes you do. I've met some people, I've seen some people on social media that they go dormant for a while, and then they come out of their little cave and they attack everyone. They attack the person that wrote the post, then they attack everybody that responded to the post, and whether it makes sense or not, they attack the whole world, and then they go back into their cave. If you are making a threat on social media, in person, wherever, and you make a death threat, there is something certifiably wrong with you. There is no person that is considered, in my opinion, normal that would make a death threat to anybody, to a teacher, to a police officer, to a doctor, to a broadcaster, to a lawyer, to an athlete, to a golf tech. Nobody, right? The club didn't work out. Not worth a death threat. I don't like your show, Dan. Not worth a death threat. That pitcher, that McCullers, he didn't do what I wanted him to do. Not worth a death threat. And not only a death threat to him, but a death threat to his children. If I see you and your children in public, I will stab them to death. I'm sorry. Everyone is God's child, but some of God's children must have gotten lost somewhere along the way, and we need to find a way to bring those people back home and change that behavior, because that behavior is disgusting. It's not even, there's not even a word for me to describe to you a death threat. Now, I have people in the media that don't like me. And I had an idiot in the media stand in front of me like he wanted to fist fight me. But I, thankfully, have never been through a death threat. And I hope I never am, and I hope you never are. I hope nobody listening or watching around the world is. McCullers, you have to think about this. He's a pitcher. You don't like him. But you've now threatened his family, including his children. That means when his wife goes to the grocery store, she's going to think about it. She's going to be maybe a little bit, hey guys, stay a little bit closer to the cart, please. When you death threat somebody, now this person in the back of their mind, no matter how courageous and confident they are, they have to think there's weirdos in our city. And can I go to the grocery store? Can I go to the bank? Can I go to the post office? Can I just be at a red light? Anyone and everyone who has social media or in person or in any way, shape, or form made a death threat to McCullers or anyone, you deserve to be investigated. You deserve to have a warrant, go into your house or apartment, check to see if you have weapons, check to see what you're about and how you're living your life, because anyone and everyone that makes a death threat should be handled the same. And if it's, it's just funny because it's Facebook. No, it's not funny. It's not funny. There are people that have literally committed suicide over bullying and over people saying stuff, either in person or on social media. I have a friend who recently took his life, attempted to take his life, went to the hospital, and because he could not get better on the machines, lost his life over high school crap. High school. He was 17 years old. So I'm sitting here before you today saying that any death threat of any magnitude, given any way, a letter, a phone call, a text message, social media, in person, wherever it was billboard, wherever it was given, whoever it was given by, congratulations, because the whatever police department will be at your door today. We will be searching your house, and we're going to be sitting down with you, having a conversation with you and your family, because there's something wrong with people that make these death threats, and to anyone. And when you say, I will stab your children the next time I see you in public, Murph, I'm sorry. I don't want that person on the streets.
Did Houston all of a sudden turn into Philly? I mean, this is something that you've come to expect from Philadelphia sports fans. I would not have expected this from Houston fans. Maybe they're bitter because they got caught cheating and they've won 2 World Series since then, so I don't know, but you're right. And obviously I kind of just let you go there because everything you said is 100% factual. It is completely unacceptable. That should never happen. We shouldn't even have to spend time talking about this.
Right.
That's how ridiculous it is.
Right.
I mean, Lance McCullers was on both of those World Series teams. He pitched and beat the Dodgers in the first World Series in 2017. Folks, this is a guy that's been part of your franchise for a decade.
Yeah.
You want to boo him? Be my guest. People get booed all the time. The guys don't take that personally. Well, maybe some of them do, but most of them don't take it personally if they get booed after one bad start. You don't threaten the man's family.
Yeah.
If you're going to threaten anybody, threaten him. You shouldn't be threatening anybody, but leave it to him, not his family. Leave his family out of it. They did nothing wrong. That's the part that gets me. Is they're pissed about what he did.
Yeah.
So their response is, I'm going to threaten your wife and kids. You know how stupid that sounds? Not saying anybody should get threats like that, but you leave it to the player, not the family. And you shouldn't be doing that in the first place. Believe me, I've had players that have played for the Mets or that have played for the Jets that I can't stand, and I will boo them to kingdom come. But I would never stoop that low. That is lower than low.
Yeah.
It should never happen. Never. I don't even think this is like, we shouldn't have to give this any more airtime because this should not be something that we need to talk about. But clearly we do because people don't freaking get it.
Well, and the thing is, I always ask people, I say, whatever you've decided to say or do, what is your hope? Right? What's the end game? Whatever you've decided to say or do, what's the reaction you're hoping? Like, what are you hoping to accomplish? That's what I would ask people when they would fight with me and call me names and disrespect me and disrespect my family. I would say, what are you hoping for? What are you hoping to get from this? Are you thinking that threatening to kill his children is going to like spark something inside of him to pitch better? You think that somehow can be connected? Oh, if he threatens my children, then all of a sudden I'm just going to stop being I was such a bad pitcher, but now that you threaten my kids, like now I'm more focused. He's going to be less focused. So, arguably. But I always ask people, what's the end game? When you decide to be a jerk, what is the end game? When you threaten people, you disrespect people, you put them down, you give them a double standard, you treat them the way you don't want to be treated, you talk to them the way you don't want to be talked to, what are you hoping to gain? I ask people that all the time. See, when people yell at me now, Murph, I don't yell back. I just let them yell. I let them yell. I let them swear. There was a conversation I had with a person recently. The last words they said, F you, Dan. I hung the phone up, Murph, because I want those to be the last 3 words that they ever say to me. I want them to live with that. Because I don't speak that way. I don't talk that way. And I don't accept that. But what do you hope to be your final breath? I had a business owner years ago tell me, I own you, Dan. I hung the phone up. I haven't been around that person since that day. You have to decide in your life what you're saying and doing. What are you hoping to accomplish? Because if you're really an Astros fan, threatening this man's life and the life of his children and his family, how's that going to make him a better pitcher? You want him to be a better pitcher. You want to win games. You ultimately want to win games. How do you win games? Stabbing children. It's so stupid, but we have to say it out loud. And see, a narcissist is going to hear the stupid language and they're going to go, yeah. And they're going to keep going because a narcissist cannot see where they're wrong, even when it is clear as day. But a person that has some type of a brain that still exists inside of their head, when you shake it and it bounces around a little bit like a peanut, but it's still there, you can have a conversation with those people. But again, somebody who is saying stuff like this, there's something wrong with this person, because normal people don't make death threats. Normal people don't do this. And I know in this world where everyone's touchy, Dan, what's normal? People not making death threats. That's normal. I know that everybody wants to make the world gray because it can't be black and white. But the last time I checked, murder was still wrong. Stealing was still wrong. Coveting was still wrong. Dishonoring God was still wrong. There's certain things in life you're just not supposed to do. Well, I broke into someone's house, but you don't understand. I like the stuff they had. Well, yeah, I stole that guy's girlfriend, but you don't understand. She's hot. No. Say that to Jesus when you're done with your life. See what he says. But the reality of it all to me is where we are in society right now is we're all touchy over dumb stuff. We're not touchy over big stuff. And a death threat should make y'all, regardless of color, background, creed, religion, whatever, when you hear somebody gets a death threat, that should make the world stop, turn and look at the people making the death threats and saying, we ain't doing that here. So, McCullers, God bless to you and your family, and may God continue to protect and keep you and love you and guide you and guard you. To the people making the threats, may God continue to love you, protect you, keep you, and guard you and guide you, and may you figure out what you're doing wrong and stop doing it, because it ain't about anything that you're doing that makes any type of sense. And by the way, the people making the death threats, if somebody threatened y'all family, I think I know people well enough to know you would lose your mind. So if you can't handle it, don't be dishing it, baby. And it's just a joke. That's what everybody says when they get caught. So I agree. We don't need to spend any more time on it, but I wanted to make mention of it because it's wild and it's wrong and it's disgusting. And if I'm McCullers today and I'm walking through Publix or Wegmans or whatever, and I'm pushing my cart with my kids, my mind might be thinking, that guy that stared at me in the produce last week, he's staring at me this week. I'm wondering, is he the guy on social media that said it, that hid behind that fake name? And that's not acceptable. You don't need to have people living with these thoughts and these wonders. We don't need to put people through any of this stuff. And I don't care what anybody says. It's wrong. It's stupid. And it's a game. Well, Dan, you're a broadcaster. Without sports, you wouldn't blah, blah, blah. Well, actually, we got a bunch of different shows. So without sports, we would still exist. But I'm a sports broadcaster who makes jokes, who is constructive. But I also talk about people in a way where I want to meet those people and be okay with them. I want to meet those people and be able to have a conversation. Syracuse has had a bad basketball team at times, and I've been constructive, and I've written stories to the point where Frank Howard would still come up and hug me after a game. I can't say he was doing that with the rest of the media. I remember that these people have families. And do I joke around about people like Bill Belichick and whatnot? Yeah. But I've also said on the show that I respect Bill Belichick. I do think he's one of the best coaches. I do think he's a really good coach. I don't know if I would want to be coached by him, but he's not a bad coach. So just remember, folks, when you're out here and you're joking and you're talking and you're saying stuff and you're living your life, ask yourself if you would like somebody to joke about you like that, talk about you like that, and treat you like that. The golden rule is the easiest way for you to check yourself. And I can tell you, outside of some insane people that are the 0.1% of the world, 99.9% of people love to dish it.
But they can't take it.
But they can't take that stuff back. And you got to be really, really careful about what you say and what you do. Because you can call it God, you can call it karma, you can call it nature. But what you put in this world, you will get back. If you don't repent and you don't change and you don't get right with God, what you put in, you're going to find. And when you find it, don't be mad. I spit into the wind 3 years ago. How is it going to hit me in the face now? Well, the wind took a little while to get to you, but it's going to get there. So I can tell you this right now. Whoever's made these death threats, Don't think that God didn't see it, hear it, know it. You better get right with him. And McCullers, my prayer for you and your family, that nothing keeps you from living your life the way you want to live it, how you want to live it, with your family, safely and sound. I don't want you to worry a second in your life. I understand your concerns, but I do not want you to let anybody get under your skin, no matter how bad it gets. God bless to y'all now and always. And I'm going to pray that for you in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Because I want God to guide and guard you out of this thing, and I don't want you to have one iota of your life be spent on worrying about anything, let alone these people. We're going to jump to the NFL, Murph and I, after this fast break. When we jump there, we're going to talk about the fact that Tyler Shook, who I interviewed at the beginning of last season for the Louisville Cardinals, is now arguably an NFL starter. People are saying, who's Tyler Shook? They were watching the combine, and they're going, oh, this guy can kind of throw pretty well. And I heard some of the commentators talking about him a little bit. Well, I got to meet Tyler when he came over to Louisville. We got to talk. And then Derek Carr decided to retire. And now Tyler Shook might be the quarterback of the New Orleans Don't Call Me Saints. And now I kind of want Kyle McCord to go there as well. He's in Philly right now. We shall see. We're going to be talking about a bunch of quarterback situations after the fast break. Derek Carr, Tyler Shook, Cam Ward, and Dylan Gabriel versus Shedeur Sanders. Maybe? Not maybe? We'll talk about it all after this fast break inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios right after this. Here's a message from Renee from Brian's Landing, located on 6523 East Seneca Turnpike in Jamesville, New York. Open Tuesdays and Wednesdays for dinner, Thursday through Saturday for lunch and dinner, and Sundays for brunch.
It's a lot like the way that my mom and dad ran their restaurant. We have put in place a lot of people that are family to us, very similar to how my dad hired people that were family to him. And then the tradition I'm carrying on is a lot of the items that are on our menu are my dad's. And he taught our chefs how to recreate his dishes. So I think that Tommy McNerney, who our executive chef is, to him it is an art. And I think that when he does create a dish, it's not just about making the food taste delicious, which is definitely our priority, but it's an art to him, and it's almost like his canvas on a plate where he just wants the colors to look great, and people love it because he takes pride in that. And Brian and I appreciate that. We want it to obviously look good and taste good. I will tell you, when we opened up, it was 6 weeks before COVID. And what was amazing was the community, our friends and family stepped up, and everybody did takeout. Everybody supported us. Our hearts were just so filled. So to Brian and I, obviously our friends come all the time, and we just have repeat customers in Jamesville, and I think people going to our previous restaurant in Green Lakes are making the trip to come to Brian's Landing to support us. And I mean, I think we have great food and a great atmosphere. So it's very, very important to us.
Head to Brian's Landing, located on 6523 East Seneca Turnpike in Jamesville, New York, where memories have become recipes that are now meals to share with you. Tuesdays and Wednesdays for dinner, Thursday through Saturday for lunch and dinner, and on Sundays for brunch. And be sure to come out for live music Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Here is a special message from Brian Bruno, owner of Servomation Refreshments Incorporated.
I grew up in the family business. I had the experience of working for a national food service company with thousands of employees, and as much as I enjoyed the experience I had, there's something about owning my own company and being able to change the things I saw wrong with the industry firsthand, which is why I moved back to my hometown in Canastota, New York, to launch Servomation. It was back in 2007. When we first started the business in 2007, really you didn't find any machines with credit card readers. There was a lack of variety in machines. You got stuck with basically whatever the vending company wanted to sell that day. There's a lot of inefficiencies in the business, and those were all things that we saw as opportunities, both from a customer level to improve and from an operating level to be more efficient. We've really been at the forefront of introducing retail technology into our space. We were doing self-checkout back in 2009 before it really became a national phenomenon. The whole point of it isn't to just improve the customer experience. It's to make it feel more like a retail environment where people don't have to be afraid of what they're buying behind glass. They don't have to be afraid of not being able to see the ingredients of the packages. It was an easy transaction from that standpoint. If we were to reinvent something, we wanted to make sure what we were making looked and felt more like a deli and not like something that you would traditionally see in a vending machine. I was tired of hearing for years the customers say the wheel of death because the vending machine would circle around with the same tuna salad in it. What we wanted to do was it really change the perception of that food. So allowing customers to touch it, allowing customers to feel the weight of it, allow customers to see the freshness of it, and also the variety of it really helps them change the perception and ultimately the value of what we bring to them. The point of differentiation you have to make is either in value or the quality. And I think on both of those fronts, Servamation has really, in large part, changed that value system for employees. So they no longer have to worry about bringing their food from home or having to leave their desk during the day and rush out to get back in time for their break to end. We're bringing something that they can count on in their break room every day, and they know it's going to be there, they know it's going to be fresh, and they don't have to worry about it being sold out or something that they don't enjoy. We've also heavily invested in flavored water machine, so you can get a glass of water with a fresh piece of fruit in it, along with bean to cup coffee machine. So there's not a day that goes by we're not surprised when we get customers that call us and say, we didn't know you could do all this. We're really lucky to have a strong group of dedicated employees. Most of our employees have been with us since inception. They're family to us, and people like doing business with people they like and trust. And I think the same thing goes for employees. In a day and an age where there's a lot of corporations that just look at an employee as a number and don't get to know them, that's just not the way I was raised or how I like to do business. So we're a little old-fashioned. We like getting close to our employees. We like knowing how we can help them. We like knowing how we can improve their lives, adjust their schedules, whatever it may be to help improve their quality of life. And we think in the end that makes for a happier employee. We're fortunate enough to have really grown over the last several years, and from Pennsylvania to Massachusetts to Connecticut, we really do have a strong connection, even though we're not in the rooms every day with these employees. There's not one single employee that we feel like we don't know, and certainly we know they can call us at any time, and they're definitely treated as family to us. I wake up every single day really excited to surprise our customers in a good way. The one thing I can tell you is I think that every one of our employees and every one of our customers will continue to be at the forefront of every decision we make.
Find out how Servomation can help you and your business by going to servomation.com. And a welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We are inside the Great Lakes Honda City studios, and of course, Murph and I are here on a Murph Monday, speaking on many different topics here with DT and Murphy on Wake Up Call. Our next piece of today's broadcast brings us to the NFL. After talking about Major League Baseball, we're going to switch fields here and jump into the NFL on some thoughts this morning having to do with quarterbacks out there. The first one, Tyler Shough. Now, Tyler Shough he was the quarterback of the Louisville Cardinals this past season. And Derek Carr, so they drafted Tyler Shough. Now, Derek Carr announced he's going to be retiring. Now, retiring from the NFL, the younger brother of David Carr, who we still never got to see how good David can be in the NFL because he was drafted the year of the expansion to the Houston Texans in 2002, and I believe he got sacked 91 times that first season because you're putting together a bunch of veterans that are good, but maybe they haven't ever played together before. I don't think
he's got a Super Bowl ring.
I don't think we will ever see, though, how good David Carr could have been, because he was on a Houston Texans team that was starting off their history, and he was getting sacked a lot. The guy, I think,
it's the same thing with Tim Couch too. I mean, Tim Couch took over or started for the expansion Cleveland Browns in 1999, even though the Cleveland Browns moved to Baltimore and won a Super Bowl.
Right. The original Browns did win a Super Bowl, and that did not count for the new 1999 Cleveland Browns. So yeah, I mean,
I don't understand. I still don't get that
because it's part of Browns history. But the Browns
it's so weird though, because the Browns team, the franchise, moved to Baltimore.
Yeah,
like that whole franchise with all its history moves to Baltimore and wins a Super Bowl. How is it that the Cleveland Browns of today aren't the completely fresh slate, brand new team? Because people think that Baltimore was just an expansion team. They were not. The Baltimore Ravens were the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
And now we have a new Cleveland Brown. It's so weird.
It's the same thing with the Charlotte Hornets.
It's so weird.
The Charlotte Hornets.
Well, that's that's different though, because there was a team that was in Charlotte.
It was the same.
Team that was in Charlotte just changed their name.
No, but so it was in Charlotte. So the Charlotte Hornets became the New Orleans Hornets, then became the Oklahoma City Hornets, then went back to the New Orleans Hornets. Then that Charlotte Hornets became the New Orleans Pelicans, and then there was a new and then the Charlotte got the Bobcats. Then they got rid of the Bobcats. They became the Charlotte Hornets again. But they don't have
the Charlotte Hornet, original Charlotte Hornets history though.
The original Charlotte Hornet history is with the New Orleans Pelicans.
Yeah, that's the part that messes with this.
Right.
Because the history of the Cleveland Browns should technically be the history of the Baltimore Ravens.
Right.
Because that whole franchise moved.
Right.
It makes no sense.
It doesn't. Like the Baltimore Colts and the Indianapolis Colts, when the Colts moved from Baltimore to Indianapolis, you keep the same thing. But old Cleveland Browns are the current Baltimore Ravens, and the 99 Browns are considered separate. Same thing with the Charlotte Hornets that are the New Orleans Pelicans.
Separate but the same.
Hornets. Separate but the same. So if you look at Cleveland Brown
history... Separate, but they kept their history from the previous franchise.
So the Cleveland Browns should be a part, like 99 to now Cleveland Brown and before Cleveland Brown should all be the same franchise, but they're not awarded that Super Bowl in their history because that Super Bowl was Baltimore Raven.
Yeah.
So it doesn't.
So if we're being technical, yes, the Cleveland Browns have won 2 Super Bowls. If we're being technical.
As a franchise, but then they'll say that they weren't the Cleveland Browns, and so, it's kind of like again, it's like the Charlotte Hornets.
No sense.
It's like the Charlotte Hornets. Technically, the New Orleans Pelicans are the Charlotte Hornet franchise, and the Charlotte Hornet franchise is the...
Yeah, but the New Orleans Pelicans have the old Charlotte Hornets history, though.
But the Charlotte Hornets should have the history, because there are the Charlotte Hornets again.
No, but it's a dip...
But it's the same thing with the Browns. It's the same thing with the Browns.
It's not.
It's you're the Charlotte Hornets, then you're the New Orleans Pelicans, and then you're
take the history because the Ravens were the old Browns.
Right.
They basically took that whole team, moved to Baltimore, and left the history in Cleveland.
But that's what the Hornets became.
The old
Hornets did it in a longer way.
The old Hornets took their history with them
and became
to
the
New Orleans.
But they took it to New Orleans, then took it to Oklahoma City,
and then took it back to New Orleans.
And then took it back to New Orleans.
It's the same franchise.
But then changed and became the Pelicans, and now there's a new Charlotte Hornet.
So but those Charlotte Hornets aren't the same as those Charlotte Hornets are the old Bobcats. That's their history.
But people would look at it and say Charlotte Hornets back here, Charlotte Hornets now. That should all be one history, just like the Browns. The Charlotte Hornets are the Charlotte Hornets.
But it's a different franchise, though.
But that's the same thing with the Browns. The Browns technically have 2 franchises. It's
so confusing, dude.
It doesn't make any sense. That's why
it makes no sense.
I'm like, listen, all the Charlotte Hornets did to make it different than the Browns story is they took a longer time to do it. If they went from Charlotte Hornet to New Orleans Pelican, now we're talking Browns Ravens because we're talking different city, different name. But they took a longer time to get there.
Well, the Bobcats only changed to the Hornets when the Pelicans changed when the New Orleans Hornets changed their name to the Pelicans.
Because the Charlotte Hornets lost a team for a year. Apparently, they weren't getting the attendance. They lost the Hornets, and it was like, okay, well, if you're not going to be here and show up for them, we're not going to make money. We're going to move them to New Orleans. And then literally the year they didn't have a team, Charlotte was like, what the hell are you talking about? We need a team. Then they brought them the Bobcats, and the Bobcats sucked all the time for the most part. And then they're like, we don't even want to be the Bobcats. We want to be the Hornets. So then you got to go to your old franchise and say, can we have the name back that was with our city? And then they eventually get it back. And then you got the Pelicans. It doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. So the Cleveland Browns are the old Cleveland Browns are the Baltimore Ravens, and the new Cleveland Browns are the Cleveland Browns, but they're not the old Cleveland Browns. It doesn't make sense. We're going to talk about it though. You know what? I might as well. We're going to leave Tyler Shook here on the back burner.
Might as well talk about the Cleveland
Might as well
Browns.
talk
Since
about
we're
the
on the
Browns and where the
topic.
Browns are at. Because because in this case, I think there's going to be a new Brown and an old Brown, just like there was a new Brown and an old Brown here. Because I don't think these two Browns players are both going to be on the team necessarily at the start of the season. So
one of them's getting cut.
The Cleveland Browns, who gave the first fully guaranteed, well, they gave the most money in fully guaranteed NFL history to Deshaun Watson, which made no sense because he hadn't played in over a year.
Of course, the Browns would do that.
Yeah.
It's such a Browns thing for them to do.
It is. It's kind of, like, you think about it now, it's terminology. If you do something that nobody else would be dumb enough to do, they call it a Browns move. And,
you Brownsed it.
Or at least I would call it a Browns move. The Deshaun Watson hasn't played for over a year, was really good in college. He's Houston
really good
Texan.
in Houston.
The Houston Texans aren't doing anything with him. They're not playing him. The NFL doesn't know what to do. The Texans don't know what to do. And then Cleveland swoops in and says, "Hey, we'll give you over $200 million guaranteed money, the most ever for any player, not a quarterback, the most guaranteed
and give
money.
up 3 first-round picks.
Yeah.
Don't forget about that.
The most money for any quarterback or any NFL player, not just quarterback. The most guaranteed money for any NFL player in the history of the league." After not playing over a year. And then dude got injured, and dude's had other moments, Deshaun Watson, in his time. And now Cleveland's looking for a new quarterback, even though we should be in Deshaun's continued contract. They're looking for a new guy. And that's either going to be Dillon Gabriel, Shedeur Sanders, or Lord knows, somebody else. Now, where we are...
I would go with the somebody else.
They probably will. Now, Dillon Gabriel was a third round.
I think I know who it's going to be too.
Yeah. Well, I'll
save that for later.
Joe Flacco. Now, Dillon Gabriel.
Well, this year, I'm talking about next year.
But
I think they're going to end up having one of the worst records in the league, and they're going to be in position to take either Drew Aller or Garrett Nussmeier.
We'll see. But the Cleveland Browns, I will say this. When you said who goes to Colorado, who wants to go to Cleveland and be their quarterback? The Cleveland Browns drafted in the third round, and I'm happy that he was not only drafted, but drafted within the first 2 days, because this is a guy, again, and I will beat this drum forever, I knew he was something at UCF before the world thought he was something when he put an Oklahoma jersey on, and then he put an Oregon jersey on, and people thought he was like newfound guy. Oh my gosh, Dillon Gabriel, nobody knew who he was, but now we do because he's in Oklahoma. Oh my gosh, he's a really good quarterback. He's at Oregon. Did anybody hear of him? Yeah, I heard of him 5 years ago when he was at UCF doing big things and asking to step in and losing to LSU after having an undefeated season with Mackenzie Milton in the crew, again, losing to LSU when he was asked to be a starter in college football for only the second time in his history. And then he turns around and Dillon Gabriel's out there doing awesome things at UCF. So good that Oklahoma poached him. So good that Oregon poached him. And Oregon was the only undefeated team in the nation of 134 FBS schools going into the college football playoff. But let's all pretend that Dillon Gabriel came out at Oregon and not years before at UCF, because that's the stupid thing to do. So he gets drafted in the third round, and I'm happy that people finally respected Dillon Gabriel, a guy who in his second season, when they talked about returning quarterbacks to FBS, my buddy Jason Lucas, he made note of this. When they put the graphic on the screen, they decided to leave his name out. Well, now people know who he is. He is going there and is moving forward with the Browns from a third-round pick. And then drafted in the fifth round is a guy that I thought I could see him falling out of the first round. I would not have drafted him. But he fell to the fifth round, and people have lost their minds over this. Shedeur Sanders, who played at Jackson State with his father, and then went on to Colorado with his father. So as we look at this right now, Gabriel said he's embracing it. He said, quote, "I love it. I love it because of who it is. I think just for us both, you can learn from one another, but also it's not just us two in the room. At least for right now, it is. But going into the year, Kenny Pickett, Joe Flacco, and even Deshaun Watson, just a bunch of guys who played a bunch of ball that we can all learn from one another." End quote. Now, Shedeur Sanders said Saturday his focus isn't on proving anyone wrong. He said, quote, "It's just me versus me. I can't control any other decision besides that." Amen to that, Shador, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. "So I just try to be my best self at all times. My job here isn't to prove people wrong. I'm proving myself right. I say that all the time, so I agree." End quote from Shador Sanders. Now, on the first day of rookie minicamp, Sanders and Gabriel split reps. Gabriel took the first handful in team drills, though coach Kevin Stefanski downplayed the practice order. He added that the rookies' work in minicamp is competition and instructional, and that the quarterback battle in the coming months would be, quote, all-encompassing evaluation, end quote. So, as we take a look at this and what's going on here, I'm excited to see these two quarterbacks. Now, Gabriel went on to say, quote, "I only know one way to prepare. I only know one way to work, and that is as the starter. I played a bunch of ball and have a lot of experience. So I'm going to use that to my advantage. I think every day I approach is like I'm going, yeah, this is very weird here. I think every day I approach is like, that's the words here. I'm going to go get that rep and I live it like that." End quote. So we got Dylan Gabriel. We got Joe Flacco, who's 115 years old, America's new Vinny Testaverde. We have Shador Sanders. We have Deshaun Watson, who is now, it's weird. He went from starting quarterback to now he's actually he's handling the team massages. I don't know. It's a weird thing. And then we also have, I love that I got Murph to look up for that. And we also have the fact
I've got a bunch of work stuff that I'm kind of like answering
good.
texts and stuff, so
You're
I
good.
apologize for
So
that.
Kenny Pickett, no, it's fine. We're just doing a live show. And then Kenny Pickett is also there, just messing. So Kenny Pickett, who was a first round,
He'll be the first. He'll be the first to get cut. I will say that.
So you got first round draft pick Kenny Pickett. Now, by the way, the Eagles let him go and brought in my man Kyle McCord. So you got Kenny Pickett,
Who should have been drafted way earlier than he was.
Should have been drafted way earlier and should be on a team right now where he can start. Could have been a Pittsburgh Steeler, a
The
Cleveland
Saints
Brown, or a
should
New
have
Orleans
freaking
Saint.
picked him.
And I think the Saints might still make a little move there. Because remember, these picks can move. Just like everybody's saying Shador is going to move, Kyle McCord can also move. So anybody can. So Kyle McCord, we'll talk about that. But let's get into the Browns. The Browns, for the 15th time in 18 years, probably, let's say. Probably less than that. Because what was it? The Cleveland Browns, not last season, but the season before, 2 seasons ago, the Cleveland Browns did something historic that I don't think any other team has ever done, to my knowledge. They had 5 starting quarterbacks in one season, and they made the playoffs. 5 quarterbacks 1 year. Well, right now, they have 5 quarterbacks, and they have no idea who it's going to be. Is it going to be the guy you gave all the money to? Probably not, since you drafted
Well, he's
Shador.
hurt, I think.
Well, yeah, and he's hurt now. But you drafted Shador. You drafted Dylan. You got Kenny. And you have the always ready Joe Flacco. So, Murph, I ask you, if you were the quarterback coach of the Cleveland Browns, who do you make your starter? You know how they say like, marry, kill, and all that whatever stuff? Let's play this game. Let's play this game. Starter, backup, cut. Give me those guys.
So am I cutting 2 guys?
You're cutting 2 because Deshaun's hurt. Yeah.
So we'll assume Deshaun's out for the year. Let's go with that. I mean, the answer to the start question is none of the above, realistically. But if I have to pick, I'm starting Joe Flacco.
Okay.
There's nobody else that even comes close to making sense. Yeah. Dylan Gabriel and Shador Sanders are nowhere close to being ready. I would probably make... That's good. I mean, I don't like either of Shador or Dylan Gabriel. I don't think either one of them is going to be all that good in the NFL.
Yeah.
But I'd probably want Dylan Gabriel as the backup.
Okay.
Simply because there's no drama there.
Okay.
And then I would cut Shador and Kenny Pickett. I would. If I had to keep a third, I'd cut Shador anyway. I wouldn't want Shador on my roster. I wouldn't. Because if those rumors about the interviews are true, that if those rumors about the interviews are true, then he has zero work ethic. He thinks he's this amazing player when, first of all, he's not, and second of all, he is, and I know my mom would appreciate this, he has been raised to think he is this amazing player, this legendary player, as he calls himself. That's the problem with this generation, man.
Yeah. Well,
Shador is not going to be good. I've said this for months. First of all, I never thought he should have been a first pick. I didn't even think he should have been a day 2 pick, so I'm glad because he... Buddy, you're a 5th round pick. You're delusional. You're going to end up probably getting cut before you're their starter. So, realistically for me, I'd probably keep Pickett as the third QB. In reality, Pickett should probably be the backup over Gabriel because of the NFL experience. But
yeah.
For the purposes of this experiment, if we're cutting 2, I would cut Sanders and Pickett, but I would keep Pickett as the third QB. I would get rid of Sanders and see who else is willing to take a shot on him. I mean, the only other team that I think might, if he gets cut, is New Orleans.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to hit you with this. So, where we are right now, Cam Ward did go first overall to the Tennessee Titans. Now, the Las Vegas...
He's growing on me a little bit, by the way.
Between the two of them, I said I would rather take Ward, but I just...
Oh, of course.
I don't know...
He's the one that looks like an NFL quarterback.
I just don't know if either one of them is going to be like the leader of the franchise. I'm hoping that somebody will, but let's remember that the Las Vegas Raiders, they were, shout out to the Boom.
They didn't even take a quarterback, and we thought they were going
to. The Raiders, yeah. I mean, the whole thing with the Raiders were take a quarterback. You're going to take a quarterback, right? No. They get Geno Smith.
I thought that was the perfect landing spot for Shador.
No, they bring in Geno Smith. They keep Aiden O'Connell. And then they have 2 guys that you probably don't know. Cam Miller and Carter Bradley. And so Aiden O'Connell's still there, a guy I covered in college that I told you is an NFL quarterback. He's got a shot now. And Geno is obviously the guy that's been there. And they went and drafted Ashton Genty, brought in Raheem Mostert, and still have Zamir White from the last couple seasons. Now, as we take a look at this scenario, I'm going to give you mine. My starter right now, because even if you have the number 1 overall pick, you still want it, if you can, let the guy sit. That's what we used to do. So Joe Flacco is my starter on the Browns right now. He was one of the 5 quarterbacks 2 years ago that helped lead the Browns into the postseason. He was the quarterback in the postseason.
Beat out Damar Hamlin for comeback player of the year, thank God.
And Joe Flacco, by the way, he left the Browns, became a Colt, and now he's back with the Browns because the Browns aren't stupid. The one quarterback they've been able to trust within the last few years is Joe Flacco. Now, irony, back to our point, the old Cleveland Browns are now the Baltimore Ravens, and the new Cleveland Browns are from 99 to the present. But who was on both teams? Joe Flacco, and he won a Super Bowl as a Baltimore Raven, which was an old Cleveland Brown, and now he's a Cleveland Brown again. Just want to put that all together, that Joe Flacco won a Super Bowl with the old Cleveland Browns, but the current Baltimore Ravens, just to let you know.
Yep.
And I backed Joe Flacco when he came into the NFL. I backed him from the jump, so I love that he's still there.
The thing with Joe Flacco,
University of Delaware, by the way. But Murph, I got to say this, not to interrupt you. John Strajewski, who's right behind me, that Philadelphia Soul game-worn jersey of kicker John Strajewski, he was a kicker at the University of Delaware for the Blue Hens for what quarterback? Joe Flacco. That's one of his teammates right there.
Yeah. But the thing with Joe Flacco coming out of college was the historic arm talent. Like, there's nobody that has come out of college since then, not even Josh Allen, that was touted as having the arm talent that Joe Flacco did. Joe Flacco had arm talent that was unlike anything ever seen in the NFL before. I apologize. I'm wincing a little bit because I'm trying to find a comfortable position here with my back right now. But it he was throwing the ball 60, 70 yards downfield with ease. It didn't even look like he was trying. And, obviously we see guys today that can chuck the ball that far and everything now. And we're seeing it more and more. Like, obviously Josh Allen, we know, has a cannon for an arm. We know Mahomes has a big arm. Trying to think of other guys that we know that have, like, super strong arms. But anyway, we see that more and more these days. But Flacco's arm talent deep down the field was unheard of. So we didn't expect to see something like that. And realistically, Joe Flacco probably lost his job a little too soon. But the Ravens had Lamar Jackson fall into their lap. And,
Yeah.
I'll take this one on the chest. I've been wrong about Lamar Jackson. He's won 2 MVPs. Still can't win in the playoffs, but, that's typical Lamar Jackson. I definitely, I definitely think Flacco is going to be the guy, without a doubt.
Well, let me hit you with this. So mine. Joe Flacco starter right now. Dylan Gabriel backup. Kenny Pickett third.
Oh, so the same as me.
Deshaun's injured. Now hear me out. Hear me out, Shador people that really want to see him go somewhere. I believe it is his destiny. And if this happens, the Sanders family is going to say that they meant for this to happen. And maybe it's divine intervention. I don't know. We'll see. But think about this. The NFL didn't have to pay buku bucks to Shador Sanders. The Raiders didn't have to do it. The Saints didn't have to do it. Nobody had to do it. Here's where the kicker comes in. As we go through camp and as we get ready for the 2025-26 season, Shador can end up going onto a team, potentially fighting for a starting job with a team that could have spent a ton of money to get him in the first place, that gets him at peanuts on the dollar, one of them being the Las Vegas Raiders, because we'll see what they want to do with their future. Also, as we mentioned, the New Orleans Saints. But there's something to be said about where we're at and where teams are at, that this could play perfectly into Shador's hands of getting an opportunity to start, and perfectly into an NFL's franchise hands, in the fact that they didn't have to spend really any money on this guy to bring him in at some point in training camp or in the preseason. Shador might get a crack at it, but the NFL saved a lot of money without having to draft high. And what did I tell you? I would not waste a high draft pick this year on a quarterback because I did not trust the guys that were hyped. Cam Ward, Shador Sanders. I didn't trust it. Well, the NFL didn't. They agree with me 50%. And
I think the NFL saw how bad Shador's attitude was.
But when they look at this,
that's the reason he fell.
But think about Dylan versus Shador. When people want to say Shador Sanders should have been drafted high, what are you talking about? Nah. Let's talk about it. He was in Colorado for 2 years. Played 11 games in 2023. 69.3% completion percentage, 3,230, pardon me. Passing yards, 27 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Nice numbers. I like it. 2024. 74% completion percentage, 4,134 yards, 37 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. 2 seasons at the FBS level. Dylan Gabriel played in 6 years in college. Now, he only played 3 games at UCF in 2021 because he was hurt. But in his first 2 seasons at UCF, 13 games and 10 games respectively, 59.3% completion percentage and 60% completion percentage, 3,653 yards as a freshman, which was more than what Shedeur did in his first year in the FBS, 3,570 as a sophomore, 29 touchdowns to 7 interceptions, 32 touchdowns to 4 interceptions. Dillon Gabriel has never had a season in college where he's thrown double-digit interceptions. He goes to Oklahoma for 2 years, 62.7% completion percentage, so it goes up in 22. It goes up almost 6% in 23 to 68.3%, or pardon me, it does go up over 6% to 69.3%. From 62.7 to 69.3, it does go up over 6% there. And he goes from 3168 in yards in 2022, to 3,660 in 2022. 25 touchdowns to 6 interceptions in 22, 30 touchdowns to 6 interceptions in 23. In his only season at Oregon, leads them to the only undefeated regular season of any team in America of 130 plus teams, including Colorado and Shedeur Sanders, and has 72.9% completion percentage, 3,857 yards, 30 touchdowns to 6 interceptions. What am I saying? He's had more time on the field. He's been more consistent than Shedeur. He's had more experience, more consistency, and as he got better, right? He goes to UCF, and you're not playing the SECs necessarily. Well, maybe some non-conference, but you're not playing a lot of SEC Big Ten. Then he goes into Oklahoma, and you're playing inside of the Big 12. Then he goes to Oregon, and you're in the Big 10. As his competition got better by and large, Dillon Gabriel got better by and large.
Well, the biggest thing is his completion percentage got better.
Right. But
if you look at his completion percentages as a freshman and a sophomore, they were right around 60%. Like, that's not good.
But as an early quarterback, it's not bad.
He got better.
Right.
So at the same time, like, I wouldn't have expected him to be that great seeing a completion percentage at 60%. Like, if as a freshman his completion percentage was 65, 66%, like, okay. But if you're completing less than 60% of your passes as a freshman, that is definitely a concern. And yes, they still went they did go undefeated his freshman year, right?
So he came in for Mackenzie Milton at the end of the season. So it was the end of Mackenzie.
At the end of the second
Dillon
season, okay.
Yeah, so we're talking Dillon Gabriel when he took over. We're talking about him in that freshman season, him having all those games that he had there. Because I think he probably was redshirted because you can play in a bowl game. And then I think that one season where he had 3 games, you can obviously medical redshirt and you have a COVID year. So He was able to play 6 years, but he didn't play a full season.
Would he technically have had one more year of eligibility?
So if we look back and we say he was in 2020, so that would have given him 21, 22, 23, 24. Then
COVID year,
potentially
redshirt year, possible injury year.
Right. So then he would have had another year.
He might have had he might have had a 7th season of eligibility.
But so you look at Dillon Gabriel though.
He probably would have been drafted higher had he stayed, to be honest with you.
Never thrown double-digit interceptions. Got better. As he went to a higher caliber situation, he got better.
He did.
He got better when the competition got better. You can't say that about everybody. So not only did he trend upward, he trended upward as the competition got better. He got better. Never threw double-digit interceptions. Completion percentage only got better. So when you look at Shedeur Sanders, you can look at Shedeur and you can look at other quarterbacks that started for a year or two and say, okay, so Will Howard started for a year at Ohio State. They won a national championship, but that's 1 year. Dwayne Haskins only started for a year at Ohio State, and in the NFL it didn't translate. So for Shedeur Sanders, who I think's body type is built more like a wide receiver, we look at Shedeur, and I say to you, if Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur are on the same team, Dillon Gabriel has the experience and he has the proof that he should come in being the guy that I have the edge to. Now, how they perform when they're in camp, because we're in the NFL and now it's all different, we shall see. But if I'm the Cleveland Browns, I'm looking at, here's a guy who has the experience, Here's a guy who has the numbers and has the consistency, and here's a guy I'm rolling the dice on. And so, with all due respect to them both, regardless of anything else, the numbers are the numbers. Dylan Gabriel should have the edge. Now, Shedeur Sanders on his side, again, I think that this could be a perfect position. The NFL saves money, and Shedeur Sanders works out for a team, and he can go and turn around and go to another team that's looking for a starting quarterback or a backup. Shedeur Sanders could still get on the field this season despite not being drafted in the first couple of days. He could still have an opportunity to fight for a job, and it's going to cost almost nothing. Think about the Raiders and the Saints and some of the other teams out there right now, thinking we could bring in Shedeur Sanders, have him compete for the starting job, potentially be our backup at worst, and we got to pay him under $1 million.
If I'm the Raiders, I wouldn't look at him simply because, I mean, you're basically committed to Geno Smith as your starter.
But how
I mean,
long?
you bring in Pete Carroll to be your head coach, you bring in Geno Smith to be your starting quarterback, and you sign Geno to an extension. Like, Geno's your starter. Like, that's going to be how it is. You want to bring Shedeur in as a backup? All right. But he's not going to compete for that starting job.
But if you bring him to
There's
New
no
Orleans, he could. They could have a starting quarterback for next to
I don't
nothing.
think there's any way. I think Cleveland's going to try to find a way to keep them both. I don't think they're going to be able to.
It's going to be
but
a
I
lot
think
of
they're going
drama.
to try to find a way.
If
But at
they
the same time, New Orleans, I think, is the only team that he has any chance of competing for a starting job.
But if they
And even
keep
then,
them
I don't
both-
think he would.
Think about it, though. If they keep them both in Cleveland, that's going to be a drama machine.
Of course it is.
It's going to be a drama machine.
Well, he's a drama machine. He's going to be a drama machine anywhere he goes.
But it's in that situation because of how he fell and that they drafted him. If they keep him and they play Dylan, see, the thing to keep it safe this year is to just play Joe. But if you need Dylan, if you need to play Dylan, then I think you play Dylan as long as he does what he needs to do in practice. But here's the thing with Shedeur Sanders.
I saw him throw a bad interception the other day.
I'm not saying that
A
Shedeur
really
Sanders,
bad interception.
I'm not saying Shedeur Sanders isn't talented. But I don't think Shedeur Sanders is an NFL quarterback. I'm not saying he can't play another position, but everybody wanted to jump on Tim Tebow and nobody wanted to call it racist when they attacked the hell out of him. And so I look at Tim Tebow and I look at Shedeur Sanders and I say, if you play another position, maybe we can put you out there. But I don't see Shedeur Sanders as an NFL quarterback. I never have. And that's regardless of color. That's regardless of who his daddy is. That's regardless of anything. I'm simply looking at him and I'm trusting my gut. My gut that said Joe Flacco. My gut that backed Mark Sanchez when he came out as a rookie and made back-to-back AFC Championship games. My gut that has backed Lamar Jackson to crickets. My gut that has backed a lot of these guys that people don't want to talk about and don't want to give respect to. So Cam Ward, I'm not completely out of that. I don't think that I think between the two of them, he's the guy to pick, but I don't know if either one of these guys is a franchise face. I don't think Shedeur is. The door's still unlocked for Cam Ward to see if he can be, but I do want to get to this quick. Tyler Shook, they were talking about before this whole thing in New Orleans that even leaves an opening for Shedeur or Shook or anybody, is looking at the fact that David Carr decided to retire. Now, as I said before, Derek Carr. David Carr, his older brother, retired after being in Houston. And really, after that, I mean, obviously he goes elsewhere, but he was a starter in Houston. And I don't think
he won a Super Bowl with the Giants.
Right. Okay.
Don't sell him short on that. He was a backup for Eli and got a ring.
So did my man Blaine Gabbert. So with Tampa Bay and Tom Brady. So looking at J-Don Mickens and Leonard Fournette, all former Jaguars, won a Super Bowl by going south to Tampa.
Darrelle Revis won a Super Bowl with the Patriots,
which is crazy. Yeah. So when you look at the situation in New Orleans, Derek Carr retiring, his brother retired after I feel like we never really got to see what he could be as a starter because he was part of the expansion Houston Texans and he was getting sacked a lot. We now look at where we are right now. Now, Carr's shoulder injury only accelerated the Saints' urgency in finding a young quarterback, and so they draft.
Tyler Shuck's not exactly young.
No, and they draft.
I mean, he's what, 20? He's like 26, I think.
So they bring in Tyler Shook. Now he is 25 years old. He
25,
will be
okay.
26 on September 28th, so right
Oh,
after
my
the start of the
goodness.
season. And so Tyler Shook is 25 years old currently. He was drafted 40th overall, which means he was an early part of the second round, early part of day 2. And so now Shook could be the guy. Now, Coach Kellen Moore has called for an open competition with a guy they drafted last year, Spencer Rattler. And keep in mind, Jake Hayner is also a young pick as well. So you got 3 young draft picks that they got there. If Shador came into this, you would have 4. And we're really just talking about guys that have been in the league for a short amount of time. Now, Rattler's had some time on the field as well. So we will see what's going to happen here and how this will all shake out. Now, a 7-year collegiate player Tyler Shook was, and a 4-year starter at Oregon, Texas Tech, and Louisville most recently. He was a member of the 2018 recruiting class and is 25 years old, as we had mentioned.
He's quite literally 17 months younger than me.
Yeah, which is crazy. So
that is bizarre for a guy who just got drafted this year.
Right. Well, hey, remember Chris Wenke when he was in his 20s. Now, he's 2 years older than Rattler and only a few months younger than Hayner. So as we look at where he's at right now, we shall see what's going to happen with Tyler Shook. But keep in mind, the New Orleans Saints could have Shook, could have Hayner, could have Rattler, maybe Shador Sanders, or maybe somebody else, maybe Kyle McCord. The truly open
I think Kyle
competition
McCord's in trouble.
is New Orleans. I mean, the open competition is the Saints. That's the open one. That's the open season. Now, there's other ones that can be open, like Cleveland. But New Orleans, it took them the longest to find a head coach, and it also is probably going to take them the longest to find a starting quarterback. We may not know who the starting quarterback is for the New Orleans Saints until we're through the preseason. That is an open season.
We might not know until they take the field in week 1. But our guy Kyle McCord, though, I think got screwed. That was the worst place for him to end up in terms of his potential for playing. Yeah. He's going to get screwed the way Kyle Trask has gotten screwed. Now, granted, Kyle Trask hasn't done anything that earned him playing time. He had a chance to beat out Baker Mayfield, and he couldn't do it. So that's partly on him.
Right.
But Kyle McCord got drafted by the team that just won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
There is no future for him to start for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Well, and his talent is different than your starting quarterback. Your quarterbacks don't look the same. So that's another thing that you have to look at.
Which is
Jalen
odd
Hurts,
because
Jalen Hurts and Kyle McCord are not cut from the. They're not the same type of quarterback. Kyle McCord is, if you give him enough time, he will pick you apart. Where we see a
he's a pocket passer,
right? And you see a multi guy in what you see in Jalen Hurts. So to go to a team that just won a championship and to not have a similar skill set to the starting quarterback proves to me that McCord has been brought in, but essentially will be auditioning for 31 teams in the offseason.
Yeah, and I feel bad for him because, you know, he's a guy that I could definitely have seen being a mid-second, early third-round pick somewhere.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he wasn't the third quarterback taken. I mean, Tyler Shook over Kyle McCord? Really? Really?
Mm-hmm.
Dylan Gabriel over Kyle McCord?
And that was
even Jackson Dart over Kyle McCord. I mean, come on. Hang on, I'm trying to find this real quick. QB's taken in 2025. Just who got picked in front of him. I kept 29-25, geez.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to find who got picked ahead of him. Here we go. So, Tyler Shook, no. Jalen Milroe, no. Dylan Gabriel, no. Shador Sanders, absolutely not. Cam Ward, Sure, fine. Yes, Kyle McCord beat him head to head, but whatever.
Yeah.
The only other quarterback that I might have, emphasis on might have, taken over Kyle McCord in this draft was Will Howard. And Will Howard went behind him.
Yeah.
Into a 3rd-round pick or a 4th-round pick after training camp, I would think.
Yeah.
And I could see him going to the Saints. I could see him going to the Raiders. I could see him going.
I think he would be there to battle
No.
Jackson Dart. Okay.
No, because I think the Giants like something in Jackson Dart, and because to be honest with you, if there was a team that would have taken 2 quarterbacks, I think it would have been the Giants.
Yeah.
But supposedly that Giants meeting with Shedeur went so poorly that they were like, "We're taking this guy off of our draft board." There were teams that legitimately did not have him on their draft board. It was that bad. But as far as Kyle McCord goes, and don't get me wrong, I like Kyle McCord more than I like Jackson Dart.
Yeah.
But clearly there was like, have you seen the video from their interview with him or their meeting with him at all?
With Jackson Dart?
Yeah.
No.
With the Giants.
No.
So they had the video in the room where they're talking about the offense and everything and what they do in certain situations and his cadence and everything. They fell in love with him immediately. Jackson Dart's a gamer, man. Don't get me wrong. I don't think he's great, but he doesn't have to start. They got Russell Wilson. They got Jameis Winston. He doesn't have to start. He won't see the field. I think Michael Penix is going to do a little bit better. He got time to sit. J.J. McCarthy got to sit for a year. Granted, he was hurt, but he got to sit for a year behind Sam Darnold, who did a outstanding job with the Minnesota Vikings this past year. And I'm proud of him because I love Sam Darnold. I think he's awesome, and I'm thrilled to see him getting a big contract with the Seahawks, and I hope he does well out there. I really do.
Yeah.
But I don't really know at this point what situation makes sense for Kyle McCord.
Well,
I really don't.
There's
other than New Orleans.
Yeah, there's a few out there. I think New Orleans is the best place for any quarterback to go right now that wants to get out there and play, especially the young guys. But I do want to make note of this really quick. Cam Ward, speaking of a young guy, #1 overall draft pick, and who was better numbers-wise in yardage than him and beat him head-to-head? Kyle McCord. So Cam Ward of Miami, he goes to the Tennessee Titans, #1 overall, and things have already gone well. Now, he was at Incarnate Word, then he went to Washington State, and then last season he went to Miami.
He was where?
Incarnate Word. It sounds like a church. So that's where he played first. He said, "It is me more opening up to my teammates, them getting a chance to know me. I already know X, former Miami and current Titans teammate Xavier Restrepo, and have a connection with him. I got to connect pieces with my other guys," end quote. Now, he's looking at the playbook and looking to develop chemistry here. So rookie tight end Gunnar Helm said Ward and the young group got to the facility early in the morning to watch film. He said, "He's just a great leader, super easy to talk to, super easy to connect with, super easy to communicate with on the field," end quote. So people are saying all nice things about him. And looking at Alec Iomanner, who is a rookie receiver, he said, quote, you've just got to get it while it's hot. So if there's something wrong with the rep, you have to run it back and get it right. He gets the ball out really fast, which is great and something I have to get used to," end quote. Now, Titans coach Brian Callahan said the leadership aspect comes naturally for Ward. He expects it to show more as Ward gets more comfortable. And he said, quote, "Cam's been great working with us receivers." That came from one of his other wideouts said. He said, he's a really good leader and has that presence on the field and throws the ball really well," end quote. So everybody's saying nice things about Cam Ward. I shouldn't say everybody's saying nice things. There's a bunch of receivers and your head coach, people are excited about Cam Ward. They're looking forward to Cam Ward. But now it becomes, what does this look like? What does it look like after rookie minicamp? What does it look like at training camp? What does it look like in the preseason? They have had many a quarterback. Keep in mind, they brought Ryan Tannehill from Miami, and Ryan Tannehill had arguably his best years in many years when he was in Tennessee. Then they decided to go and draft a quarterback in Malik Willis. It didn't work out. Then they drafted Will Levis. Like Shedeur Sanders, I did not have him going in the first round, and he did not go in the first round, and Will Levis didn't work out.
Did he go in the fourth round?
And now they've gone to Cam Ward. So I think he was like third. But
maybe third, I don't know.
Now they're with Cam Ward. So keep in mind, in the last 5 years, the Tennessee Titans have tried to find their franchise quarterback in 3 different guys. In Malik Willis, Will Levis, and now Cam Ward.
Well, Cam Ward's obviously going to be the most risk because, third and fourth round picks, if you don't find them, it is what it is. Like, it's not that big a deal. That's why, like, for me, I love the Jets taking Jordan Travis when they did. Obviously, it didn't work out because his injury is too severe for him to come back from, and we wish him all the best. I still have 2 of his RPAs, which I might try to sell now. I don't know. We'll see. And it's a shame because he was an amazing college player, and he was great for that Florida State team a couple of years ago. But this is definitely the most risk that they've taken. This is their biggest swing so far, and we'll see. I still never like the idea of guys starting right away.
Yeah.
Because I think it, especially when they get drafted by a bad team, like the Titans were bad last year. They're like
worst
a
team
lot
in
of
the
these
NFL?
guys that get, a lot of these teams that get drafted a lot of these guys get drafted number 1, number 2 overall by really bad teams.
Yeah.
Tend to struggle out of the gate, and some of them it screws with their confidence. Right? Look at Bryce Young, just 2 years ago. Now, he started to figure it out, and I think he might end up being a quality NFL quarterback. Not going to be as good as C.J. Stroud or anything, but he may still end up having a decent career. He looks a lot better after they benched him and got, I forget who started in place of him. But since he was benched and kind of had a little bit of time to, watch, he's been better.
Yeah.
Stroud got drafted to a better team. That was just the way it was. The Texans had better pieces around them, and that's how it was. Anthony Richardson probably shouldn't have started day 1, but he did. Got in a little bit of trouble at times, got himself hurt. We'll see what happens with him. He was definitely a little reckless his first year. Didn't look as bad last year. We'll see how he does in year 3. But then you go to a guy like Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson was drafted by a terrible Jets team, he had nothing around him when he first got drafted. Obviously, they tried to put stuff around him afterwards, and he couldn't do anything with it. But again, you get no pieces around him, his confidence is probably shot. Even Trevor Lawrence in the beginning.
Yeah.
People were saying how bad he was in his rookie year. The Jaguars had nothing around him.
Peyton Manning.
He had nobody to throw to. Peyton Manning is his rookie year. I don't know why I keep wanting to say freshman year, but it's freshman year in the NFL.
Yeah.
Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
Sam Darnold.
Yeah, pretty much.
Look at the list of, but even this. Look at the list of NFL quarterbacks that were drafted in the first round. So if we go and look at starters, NFL starting QBs.
It's more normal to struggle in your first year in the NFL at quarterback than it is to not. It's
NFL
more
starting QB.
It's more normal for that to happen. It's more normal for a high draft pick, a number 1 overall draft pick, to struggle in the NFL as a rookie. That's why when people ask me what I thought about Trevor Lawrence after his rookie year and if I was nervous, I laughed. Because it's more common that a high draft pick rookie quarterback struggles in their first season than they don't. And
for sure.
It would be better to have them sit and give them some time. Murph, I do want to get to this quick here because we're going to be hopping out here in a second. But Murph and I, card-wise, here's the big question. these are the quarterbacks that have been drafted. So again, as we go through the list, this is what it looks like. Cam Ward is the highest, then Jackson Dart, which I have a bunch of his rookies that I got in advance. The Bowman his first card, I have a bunch of those. Then Tyler Shuck, Jalen Milroe, Dylan Gabriel, Shador Sanders, as well as Kyle McCord, Will Howard, Riley Leonard, Graham Mertz, Tommy Mellett, Cam Miller, Curtis Rourke, Quinn Ewers. Here's my question for you. Do you buy into any of these? If someone's going to buy a rookie quarterback and try and flip them, is there anyone you trust?
No. And part of it is not necessarily that I don't trust the quarterback. I don't trust the cards for them right now. They will start getting hot when their pro stuff comes out. I wouldn't touch any of these guys until they have NFL jersey cards out. Once we start getting Score, once we start getting Donruss, Mosaic, when that stuff comes out, that's fine. Like, then I'm probably... but my issue with the NFL is that stuff doesn't come out till mid-season.
Takes a long time.
2024 Optic came out like 3 weeks ago. It was the end of April. The season's already 2 months over.
Right.
Why is this stuff coming? Select.
Yeah.
Select comes out in like August.
Yeah.
For 2024.
Yeah.
What? I don't understand why this stuff comes out so late. That's why I can't stand the football card market. Baseball cards, we're already in Topps Series 2. Topps Chrome comes out in a couple of weeks. 2025 Bowman just got released.
Right, and 2025 is out here to start the season. It's out here like 30 games in. It's out here in the moment. The NFL, like, we're just getting RPAs of the rookies for 2024 in April.
Yeah.
So it's pretty crazy.
Exactly. And it sucks. I can't stand it.
I will say that I did flip my Cam Ward autograph that I had. I flipped that a while ago.
You do pretty good on it?
I did, yeah. From what I remember, yes. I did
go.
more than good enough for myself. I was like, let me get rid of this card before wherever he gets drafted. So, and whoever has it now is like, oh, he's the number one pick. So now they're going to think, now I could do this, and now I could sell
You
this.
probably could have held on to it for a little while longer, almost knowing full well he was going to go number one, and then you sell it. But if you did good on it, that's all that really matters on it. To be honest with you, but
I'm happy where it went,
yeah.
and I'm happy
as long as you're happy with it. It's like last year when I had that Paul Skeens first Bowman auto that shot up to space, and I paid $100 for it raw, graded it, got a 10, sold it for $400 before he got called up. Don't get me wrong. I wish I would have held on to it a little longer. I probably would have sold it when he got called up for $600 or $700. I wouldn't have held on to it until it went up to $2,000.
Yeah.
But it would have been nice to have that card. But the big thing is for me with the market as far as football cards, I would be looking at last year's draft class. I would be looking, and again, I've said this on the show before. Once the national passes, right? So once August hits, do not buy any more quarterbacks. Sell them all. If you can sell them, sell them. The summer is the time to buy. I mean, the guys I'd be looking at the most, I'd be looking at JJ the most.
Yeah.
Partly because these guys have RP. Like, I know JJ's got RPAs. Jaden Daniels has come down from being ridiculously hot. I got a Silver Prism that's off to grading right now. It's at SGC, and as long as it gets better than a 9, if it gets a 9.5 or a 10, I'm making money. If it gets a 9, I'm going to lose a little bit. But Jaden Daniels, Caleb, even though I don't really like him, I have a big Caleb card that I'm holding on to right now. JJ, basically all the first-round picks are good. But get rid of them before August. Get rid of them by August, and don't buy any more once August hits.
Yeah. So excited. And by the way, Buy, sell, and trade this Thursday, May 15th at GG Cards and Breaks Trade Night. We will be at the store for this one on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York. Excited to see you all there, and I will be bringing out all of my collection, including all of my newbies that I've gotten from my box breaks from GG Cards and Breaks. So for this edition of DT and Murphy speaking on Major League Baseball, NFL topics, and the sports card market, as always, Murph, I appreciate you. I pray continually that your back feels better and that you get back to 100% and you stay that way. And I'll look forward to talking with you soon.
Yes, sir. Good to see you, buddy.
Good to see you too. And happy Mother's Day to your mom again.
And to yours as well.
Thanks, buddy. That coming from Murph here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. We thank Murph for braving through this with us as he does have a back injury. So sitting for a while was something he didn't know if he could do, and he's done it for extra time with us. We're going to take our final step aside and wrap the show up inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios right after this. You're watching and listening to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville beats. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you. Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
All right, you need to come out here and get yourself the Brooklyn Pickle. I was talking about this with one of my buddies. I was like, yo, there's no better sandwich in the state of New York than the Brooklyn Pickle. And now that I found out that they're going down to North Carolina, we are taking over your taste buds everywhere you are, wherever you're going to be. You need to get yourself out to the Brooklyn Pickle. Pinehurst, you just realized that you found yourself the best sandwich shop that you're ever going to have. This is a glorious moment. It's a blessing to your community. You're welcome. Brooklyn in the house, baby. Go over to the Brooklyn Pickle. You already know what it is.
You heard the man. Head to Brooklyn Pickle Pinehurst on 1788 Old Morgantown Road in Southern Pines, North Carolina.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant.
GG Cards and Breaks. Like, comment, subscribe.
GG Cards and Breaks, located on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York, is your one-stop sports card and trading card shop. Head to see them Tuesday through Saturday from 10 to 6 and on Sundays from 10 to 5 on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse for soccer, hockey, basketball, football, baseball, and more, including Disney, Lorcana, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Magic the Gathering, Pokemon, and all your sports card supplies you need to protect your cards, showcase your cards, travel with your cards, and keep them looking fresh. There is nothing like GG Cards and Breaks, and your kid's spirit, hey, in today's world, in any day's world, it's important to always be a big kid. And no matter what your age is, to those little kids that are 9, 10 years old, to the kids that are 40, 50, 70 years old, GG Cards and Breaks keeps that kid spirit going, getting you close to your team, close to your favorite players, and close to your favorite games and characters you love by going to 639 Delmar Place Tuesday through Saturday from 10 to 6 and Sundays from 10 to 5 right here in Syracuse, New York. And we'll see you this Thursday for GG Cards and Breaks Trade Night. Bring your cards to buy, sell, and trade on site on location from 6:30 to 9:30 p.m. this Thursday, May 15th. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call, I want to thank Murph for being a part of the show. Inside of MonPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin' here inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. Thanks for being with us on YouTube.com and Facebook.com, both /WakeUpCallDT. And, of course, on Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser.com, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, and YouTube. Search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. And thanks to Brooklyn Pickle from New York to North Carolina. You now know down in North Carolina how amazing our sandwiches have been for many, many years. 1788 Old Morganton Road in Southern Pines, North Carolina, right by Pinehurst Golf Course. Head to Brooklyn Pickle down in North Carolina. Let them know that Wake Up Call sent you. Many thanks to our team of partners in Central and Upstate New York, Great Lakes Honda City, Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, GG Cards and Breaks, Mon Paz, Avicoli, Servomation, Mother's Cupboard, Chick-fil-A Cicero, K9 Camp Dog Daycare, Pizza Man, and of course Brian's Landing. We are the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Lemoyne College Dolphins. It's Fins Up every single month on Wake Up Call. Find the Dolphins Wednesdays at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Student athletes, coaches, administration, future Dolphins, and alumni call Wake Up Call home. YouTube.com /WakeUpCallDT. Facebook.com /WakeUpCallDT to check them out. On YouTube, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Find our Lemoyne playlist. They're also on WakeUpCallDT.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to LemoyneDolphins.com and Fins Up. The Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Find the Bobcats every single month with student athletes, coaches, administration, and alumni in the Bobcat Buzz. Of course, you can find them on YouTube.com /WakeUpCallDT. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, find the BSC Syracuse playlist, and find the Bobcats on WakeUpCallDT.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to Syracuse.bscbobcats.com and go Bobcats. The Binghamton University Bearcats are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Find the Bearcats every Tuesday, Bearcat time at 10 a.m. Eastern Time worldwide with student athletes, coaches, administration, and alumni. The Bearcats are with you on YouTube.com /WakeUpCallDT. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, find the Binghamton playlist, find the Bearcats on WakeUpCallDT.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to BinghamtonBearcats.com and go Bearcats. With that being said, for Brendan Murphy and on Facebook at WakeUpCallDT, X at CallDT, Instagram at WakeUpCall_DT. From the Great Lakes Honda City Studios, this is Wake Up Call. I am Dan Tortora. You are amazing. And as always, God bless, no stress. Do your best. We'll talk soon.